Who is the top dog on the Denny's PBA Tour? We find out. It's the Denny's World Championship from DeVos Place in Grand Rapids, Michigan. A huge crowd filing in to watch these great bowlers.
Hey, Chris, congratulations for qualifying for this week's telecast. And great job filling in for me last week, doing the broadcasting.
Well, thanks, Norm. Just following your footsteps. But you know, there's three things that really inspired me last week. Your performance on the TV show and winning, the fact that it's a big money tournament this week, and I love those majors at the end of the year. But the one thing that really inspired me was that if I made the show this week, I didn't have to work with him again.
Hey guys, check this out. Dog, bird, chicken. Bark, 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 bark.
Winning a PBA World Championship can define a bowler's career and go a long way to winning Player of the Year. Three of the top candidates did not make this show, opening the door for Masters champ Doug Kent. Chris Barnes has had a solid season, a win and 2 second-place finishes. Tony Reyes makes the semifinals, building on what has already been the best year of his career, a 300 on TV en route to his first career title. The World Championship wildcard is wild. Danny Wiseman, who has won on the big stage before, bagging the Masters in '04. So who rises to the top today? We find out next. Yes. We are coming to you from DeVos Place, this beautiful convention center in downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's the third major of our season, the 2007 Denny's World Championship. The winner takes home $50,000 and a 4-season exemption. We have 4 of the world's top bowlers. Now, all 4 are ready to roll.
This 11-time Denny's PBA Tour champion is looking for his second major in the last 3 seasons and his first title since the 2004 USBC Masters. From Baltimore, Maryland, Danny Wiseman.
Danny Wiseman has long been the most flamboyant bowler on our tour, but this year, injuries and illness have kept his flames subdued. He was pondering retirement. Forget that for now. Today, he goes for a second career major.
He won this season's USBC Masters for his second career major. Today he looks to become just the 6th bowler to win 2 majors in the same season. From Newark, New York, Doug Kent.
Doug Kent loves arena shows with a major on the line. Way back in October, Dougie Fresh took home the Masters crown. We're back in an arena, and Doug is back as well. Can he make it 2 for 2 on the big stage today?
Earlier this season, he fired the 17th nationally televised 300 game in Denny's PBA Tour history en route to his first title. Today, he looks for his first major from San Bruno, California, Tony Reyes.
Tony Reyes has created some incredible memories this year right here in the state of Michigan. 12 in a row for perfection and his first title.
He's looking to become just the 5th bowler to complete the Triple Crown of Bowling. One of the leading candidates for PBA Player of the Year from Double Oak, Texas, Chris Barnes.
No PBA bowler has been so good with so much on the line. The U.S. Open, the Tournament of Champions, 2 Roll to Riches titles. When the event has more at stake, Chris Barnes responds. He tries for a 3rd career major today.
These are your finalists competing for the title in the 2007 Denny's World Championship.
It's the 48th Denny's PBA World Championship, our first ever stop on the PBA Tour in downtown Grand Rapids. Here is the format. We started with 150 bowlers, 18 games of qualifying, a cut to the top 50, 9 more games, then cut to the top 40. The top 8 went to the round of Super 16. The remaining 32 went to the best of 7 match play. When the dust all settled, 4 are left, leading us to these brackets, 2 semifinals and a final. We start with Doug Kent, Danny Wiseman, Chris Barnes, Tony Reyes are next. 3 of the 4 bowlers have a major. Tony Reyes, the only one without a major championship. Well, other bowling fans, welcome to downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. Glad you could join us. Dave Ryan alongside 26-time titleist Norm Duke. Congrats on your win last week in Indianapolis.
Thank you, Dave.
A lot of fun to watch that one. And Randy Peterson, who won this event back in 1987 when it was known as the PBA National Championship. What, 20 years ago, can it be?
Thanks for reminding me just how long ago it was, Dave.
Let's start with you, Randy, and talk about the first semifinal. We've got Doug Kent, Danny Wiseman. Each have been on this big stage before.
Yeah, both players are real familiar to major championships. Doug Kent won this event back in 2002. He started the season by winning the USBC Masters. So Doug is no stranger to winning big events. And today, he looks to become the first player since the 02-03 season to win 2 majors in a season. Danny Wiseman's a bit different story. It's been a tumultuous 18 months for Danny because he's been battling illness and injuries. The flamboyant one looks to right the ship today and win his second major.
And Randy, really an amazing story with Danny Wiseman. All dates back to a car accident he had during a tournament in the Chicago area back in fall of 2005. We'll talk more about that as the show progresses. And normally let's talk about the other semifinal. We've got Chris Barnes, Tony Reyes head-to-head. Each had a very good season and a chance today for some significant history.
Well, you know, both of these players have walked the walk all season long. And should either win today, they would add their names right alongside the list of frontrunners for PBA Player of the Year. Now, Tony Reyes has already made a little history earlier this year when he fired the PBA's 17th televised 300 game en route to winning his first title. Now, Chris Barnes, a lot of storylines here, and just forget about the PBA Player of the Year one, because should he win today, he would become only the 5th player in history to win the PBA's coveted Triple Crown, which consists of the U.S. Open, the Tournament of Champions, and this, the PBA World Championship.
And Norm, wouldn't that be something if Chris could, in fact, get that milestone? Here's what's on the line today, $50,000 first place prize money. And the winner receives a 4-season tour exemption. So much on the line in the third of our 4 majors, the 06-07 Denny's PBA Tour season. What a scene. Arena final. Big crowd on hand. It's a packed house to watch the first of 2 semifinals. Kent Wiseman from Baltimore, Maryland, who has 11 titles, has a major, the 04 Masters, before an incredible crowd. Miller Park in Milwaukee to open our season in 04-05. But Norm, it's been a difficult struggle certainly for Danny since then. We talked about the auto accident he was in as he gets set to go head-to-head with Doug Kent here. He has struggled. Illness, injury, all based on that accident. Trying to get himself physically back to 100% has been tough for him.
You know, all the players are going to have some times in their career where they're going to be fighting illness and they're going to be fighting something. But to have a car accident, you know, start this roller coaster ride for Danny is just unbelievable to me. I'm sure glad to see him back on telecast today.
He was rear-ended at an intersection November of 2005. Suffered a severe neck injury. His balance was off. The next week he went to compete, Hammond, Indiana, and actually hit his ankle with the ball on release. He has had multiple left ankle problems since then, a virus this year as well to deal with. Been a tough time for him. And he has a 7-pin to start his day.
But guys, what about the outfit? I mean, that outfit is on fire. Check out that shirt. So we see a great shot of Danny Wiseman's form there, but I mean, the shirt, the pants, Danny's got it going on today.
He's got his own website, and he calls that the DW line. We asked him about that before the show today. Spectacular look. Love the pants. One of our tour's most charismatic, flamboyant athletes. And loves being back on center stage here as he does get his spare. First show of the season for Danny. Third show for this guy from Newark, New York. Not far from Rochester, Syracuse area. Doug's been on tour a long time. His wife Chrissy is here. Their little daughter Natalie has joined Chrissy. Flew in yesterday.
Yeah, and when a player says any, mini, miny, mo when he's standing at the ball return about to throw his first shot, and he's saying, I don't know which of these bowling balls to throw down there at this moment, that just tells Danny Wiseman that he's a little bit lost.
Big hook on that shot. for Doug Kent, all 10 down. Randy will break down the Ace Hardware matchup here as we see two bowlers who are trying to get another major under their belts.
Danny Wiseman had a 300 game this week and also two 299s. So he threw a lot of strikes, but Doug Kent led the qualifier. Doug played in most of the week, throwing that big giant wheel, the big circle, the big rainbow. And the one thing that these players were able to figure out was they figured out a way to get their balls to strike when they did hit the 1-3 pocket.
There's Leslie Bowen, Parker Bowen III's wife, with Doug and Chrissy Kent's daughter. So that is Aunt Leslie, because Chrissy and Leslie are sisters. And they're originally from Michigan. Watching Doug Kent with all 10 down.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start for Doug Kent with a double playing the right lane really deep inside and then piping the second arrow in this left lane. That is why this guy's one of the most versatile players on the PBA Tour, and he just does it magically.
Well, that's what makes these players great. All four of our guys today can play the lanes a lot of different ways, and that's why they're here now. Because, Norm, as you know, you had to do that all week long.
Here's Danny playing from in, big hook. Boy, it goes high right through the nose. Smack into the head pin, and a 6-pin count for Wiseman in his second frame.
3, 6, 9, 10 leave. Danny never gets this ball far enough right. You see that second to last, or the last rangefinder down lane's about the 10th board. I think Danny's got to get it to the right of that to have any chance of keeping his ball right of the head pin.
Danny, an excellent spare shooter, but this spare, it's the hardest.
How tough was this spare this week?
Oh my gosh, it's something you just didn't want to leave, ever.
Covers nicely. And Danny Wiseman marks.
You know, Danny makes it look so simple, but the extreme outside part of that lane is very slick, and if that ball gets into that region without a lot on it, it's going to sail by that 9-pin.
Road to TV, guys, for Danny Wiseman. Had a tremendous run here, and then a win in 5 games over Jeff Lizzie. That was significant for Ryan Schaefer, who was on the bubble, 29th and final spot for the Tournament of Champions next week. Because Wiseman beat Lizzie, no chance for Jeff to win, knock Ryan out of the TOC, so all 4 bowlers already in. All 10 down, much better looking shot there for Danny Wiseman.
And again, we're seeing this early on about all of the changes and leapfrogging on the approach as well as a ball change. You can see that Danny goes to a different bowling ball here, makes a completely different move, gets right of where Doug Kent is on that left lane. And this is what we saw all week, and I think this is what made this tournament such a great event.
Talking with all the bowlers during warm-up, guys, they were looking for that right path to the pocket, experimenting quite a bit in practice. Just about half an hour ago, look how far in Doug is with a big hook and the 2-pin stand. So each bowler, different position right now. All depends on which lane we're talking about.
Well, yeah, they're both using the big wheel on this right lane, and I don't think it's materialized yet on the left lane. I think all the players today would rather play in. They'd rather use full hand and get a lot of curve on the back end. But until it develops to the right, until there's traction to the right to bounce the ball off of, Randy, they are going to be going, piping it on the left lane.
Single pin number so far for Doug Kent. Picks it up, 3rd show of the year for Doug. Won the Masters in Milwaukee to begin the U.S. side of the tour. With his daughter here and sister-in-law, and you see his road to TV. Brad Angelo trying to make his 2nd show of the season. Made a nice run here in Greater Grand Rapids. The event held at Spectrum Lanes, Wyoming, Michigan, where the PBA Tour has been several years, 6 straight years in fact. But the finals here on the big stage, DeVos Place, downtown Grand Rapids. Sparkling, brand new, beautiful facility. And a great crowd has turned out to watch this one. Wow, different lane, entirely different approach, Randy. It's amazing to see these two with the variety from lane to lane.
And unfortunately, I can't hear myself. Unfortunately, guys.
Well, you know, the great thing is he's throwing great shots on both lanes. Now, the right lane, he was a little light, but this left lane, he is dialed in on it. I think Danny's got the left lane better than the right also at this point.
I'm on the same headset, folks. Do I need to move?
Danny Wiseman does have a title, Norm, in this city as he goes in high again right through the head pin. And leaves the 3-6-10, trying to find his look in that right lane.
Yeah, both players are lost on the right lane, and Danny decides he's going to try it right up the lane, much like he's playing on the left lane.
Second TV show of the year for Danny, made the Beltway Classic in Baltimore, his hometown. In fact, bowled about 2 miles from where he grew up. But lost to the eventual champ, Sean Rash, 256, 236. Another multi-pin spare pickup for Danny Wiseman. He is successful.
Guys, sorry, I had a little headset problem there, but listen, what I wanted to add to what you're seeing right now is the fact that, unfortunately, the oil pattern is an invisible demon. We can't see it. And you're probably sitting at home wondering, well, why is Doug Kent going so straight on one lane? And quite honestly, that line to the pocket looks great and looks much more controllable. Why is he not able to do it on the other lane? And it's simple. The lane just won't allow it. Because every time he tries to go straight on that lane, the ball probably hooks high, and it just doesn't look good. That's why he's forced in to have him hook it. And right now, it looks like the left lane is the better of the two lanes.
Yeah, and you made a good point. You know, you're saying it hooks high. Danny tried it. He went out to the outside on the right lane. Where did he leave? 3-6-10. That was just pure right there. Splitting the 8-9 pins.
Long, frustrating journey back to the show for Danny Wiseman. Amazing. What a story it's been. Doug Kent trying to win 2 majors in a season. Right lane, big hook. Gets the late hit on number 7. Down she goes.
And a board or two left of the last shot that he threw on that lane. He watched the rangefinder down the lane, and this time he was just a couple of boards right of it. The last time on that lane, he was about out to the 3rd board at about 45 feet. That's a lot of angle coming back into that pocket. But Doug said that this week, as long as he stayed soft enough, Dave, he could strike from there. He just had to watch his ball speed.
Says as he gets older, it's harder to pull out the bag of tricks with the use of the hand. Try to reduce ball speed. In this case, pretty much going right at him on that left lane. And he's got all 10 down. 5 other bowlers have won 2 majors in a season. The last time it was accomplished, Walter Ray Williams Jr. 02-03 season. Can Doug Kent do it again? If he wins another, you got to consider Dougie Fresh for Player of the Year honors. What a story from Grand Rapids. Right across the Grand River from where we are here at DeVos Place, that is the Gerald R. Ford Museum. Experience America's most entertaining presidential museum here in Grand Rapids. You can see the original Watergate burglar tools. That I'd like to see. Sounds pretty cool. We're just underway for a semifinal. Doug Kent, Danny Wiseman. They're playing on the special oil pattern here at the World Championship. Earlier today, Randy breaks down the oil for us.
This week's oil pattern here at the Denny's World Championships is 41 feet in length, and the lanes played extremely slick. And what the players had to key on this week was slow ball speed, so that they can get their bowling balls to respond in the back part of the lane. If the ball speed's too fast, it shoots through this zone and either misses a pocket or leaves the corner pins. The 4 players on the show today were great at keeping their ball speeds down, getting their bowling balls to respond each and every time in this part of the lane, and hitting the pins with authority.
Yeah, Danny's been able to get his balls to hit with authority, that's for sure, all week long.
Down 33 here, though. 6th frame for semifinal World Championship. 3rd major of the season. And on that right lane, he does get the late tap on number 10 for a strike.
Yeah, he stayed to the right on the right lane and got a tremendous break here on the 10 pin. All week long, that was 9 spare. He knows he got away with one.
So, guys, after the auto accident in November of 05, we told you about the ankle problem as we see the all-time arena titles. Danny and Doug each second behind the great Walter Ray Williams Jr. The King has got 6. Danny had to see 6 different specialists to try to narrow down what the problem was with the ankle. He tells us it was an absolute tumultuous time for him, Randy, just to get through that period and get healthy again.
For those of us that have had injuries and have had surgeries, I've had surgery on my knee before. I'll tell you what, you sit at home and you wonder whether or not you'll ever make it back. It's a really, really tough road. And I don't wish that on anyone out here. And these guys, the greatest in the world, it's hard to compete against the best in the world when you're at 100%, let alone 80%.
Look at how far left and in Doug Kent is. Near the ball return on the right lane. Big hook, big strike.
Let's take a look at both of these lanes and show you the difference the difference that both lanes are playing. Now there's Doug Kent on the right lane. Look at where he's sliding, about the 38th or 39th board. Check out the left lane here. He's a good 25 boards or 20 boards to the right of that. You're probably wondering, well, how's he able to do it? Simple. When he wants to slow hook it, he moves up on the approach, holds the ball a little bit lower, and at release, he tries to flip his hand around the side. When he's going straight, watch this. A little bit quicker into the swing, a little bit faster footwork, keeps his hand nice and flat behind it, end over end roll. Bang!
Touch high. He's right at that head pin so far, right from the right lane. 6-10 up. Coming up, second semifinal. There's Chris Barnes, who has 2 majors to his credit. He's won 2 Motel 6 World of Riches titles, $200,000 each. When it's a big stage and big money on the line, Chris Barnes, Randy, loves the event.
Boy, it seems like every year he just he kind of coasts, has a nice, decent season, and then towards the end of the season he just starts making big dollars.
Can do it today. $50,000 on the line. Doug Kent has a lead. Has the 6-10 spare. He has never won 2 titles in a season, but Norm has 8 different years with 1 title. So Doug Kent's had a great career, but just kind of spread out over the years, hasn't he?
Yeah, very consistent. Very consistent. And you know, I think he's better now than he was. I know he has more tools. He just says he doesn't use any of the tools like he did when he, of course, had fresh legs and a younger body.
Wiseman has a 10-pin. Speaking of the body breaking down and numbers, Danny had 102.5 fever. During the U.S. Open week in New Jersey this year, he thought he had the flu, was shaking, had to go to the hospital, had a bacterial infection. Man, he was in the hospital for 3 days.
Yeah, he showed us pictures of his leg, and it was really, really nasty.
He was pondering retirement, thinking about it last week, but had a nice finish to get himself inside the number to be exempt for next year. Top 39 in points are exempt for next season. He is there. Next Sunday, it's the last season event for us, the Tournament of Champions from the Mohegan Sun. Uncasville, Connecticut, the casino and resort. Can't wait to go back there near Hartford. 1 o'clock Eastern time, another major. It's the final major of our season. Finish it out. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Denny's PBA Tour live coverage continues next week. Norm, what do you think?
Well, I think this is a really big shot for Danny Wiseman. If he doesn't strike here in the foundation frame, the 9th frame, then Doug Kent could just get up and fill 2 frames and win this first match. As usual, he responds.
Yeah, and the good news for Danny is he's on the good line to finish. Excuse me. He was able to strike on his good line to set up the 10th frame. Doug Kent on that left lane last time up, he went through the nose and he didn't split. And I think he didn't split because he's got some really good mojo this week, because we're in Grand Rapids and it's Kent County.
That's right.
The mojo.
And the city of Kentwood is only a few miles from here.
Some weird stuff happening here.
His relatives are from Michigan. All the in-laws. This is wide. Work at that right lane and the big hook, and he leaves the 2-pin.
Well, he gets this one right early, and it's going to spin out right about there.
But that, to me, looks like it's just an inch, a board from getting back and getting to the pocket.
It could be. It might also just be a little bit fast on the lane. I mean, there's a lot of things that could make that ball get back, but fact is it didn't.
Takes care of the spare. Guys, we saw wife Chrissy a second ago. She told us an interesting story yesterday that the week of the Masters in Milwaukee on Tuesday, Doug called home and said, things aren't going well. I'm considering withdrawing. I'm not bowling well. He wanted to win that tournament, stayed in. This year, this event here in Grand Rapids on Tuesday, called home. Chrissy, I'm thinking about withdrawing. I'm not bowling well. Well, guess what?
I'm calling home next week.
He gets back in on Tuesday. You got to call home to Florida, your family, Norm. So twice, maybe the mojo and the magic is here for Doug Kent. We'll find out.
If Doug Kent goes 9 spare strike in the 10th frame, he'll shoot 235. All right, there's 9. He spares, he strikes, he shoots 235. Danny Wiseman can strike out in the 10th to shoot 235.
We have a possibility of a tie. As the great Bo Burton used to say.
Nothing like the roll-offs. Those are exciting. Last week we had a 300 game, Ryan Schaefer, the 18th in Denny's PBA Tour history on TV. There's a 10-pin. Remember the last time Doug was on TV in a major in Milwaukee, what happened? Chrissy knows, against Tommy Jones, had a roll-off en route to the Masters Championship.
And I think what we're watching here in this opening matchup is just epitomizes just how great these guys are, because they're bowling 230 games, playing 2 different lines, and when it looks like the lane conditions are pretty tough.
And constantly changing. All this pressure.
Natalie's rooting on Dad.
Can't lose it. He can only tie now, but he can't lose it.
His young daughter gets her wish.
Yeah, that strike at least guarantees himself a position in this roll-off if there should be one. He wins otherwise. Danny Wiseman now needs 3 in the 10th to tie with 235 on a lane that he's gotten 1 strike.
Make him throw him.
Gotta have it. There's one. On the tricky right lane. Danny has won on bowling's ultimate stage, 04. Masters Milwaukee. Opener of our season, Miller Park, 5,000 fans. With Brewers play, Major League Baseball stadium.
Oh, God. I can't re-rack that, can I? Pick the ball up.
Well, right now what Danny's doing is looking at the rack on the right lane where he has to have 2 strikes, and if you go to your ball before you ask for a re-rack, you will be denied that re-rack on every occasion. He did so. He does not get a re-rack. Let's see if he can get the corner out.
Needs it. Will not get it. The big 4 right through the nose. And that's it. Doug Kent will win this semifinal and make the championship match. He will bowl for his 2nd major of the season. 1 down, 1 to go. The big 4 has only weighed once on TV. That was Walter A. Williams Jr. a couple years back.
Good job, brother. Good winning, all right? Good winning.
In Atlanta, Georgia. Congratulations to Doug Kent. Great week. What a comeback and a week of redemption for Danny Wiseman. We shall see if he retires next year. It's a thought, but he bowled so well this week. Chris Barnes, Tony Reyes are coming up next from Grand Rapids. The Denny's World Championship rolls on. Doug Kent in an arena setting has won once already, the Masters, for a championship. Can he make it 2 for 2? We find out later today. Let's flash back, shall we? 1987 PBA National Championship in Toledo, Ohio. That is PDW, Pete Weber, against David Ozio. And guys, this was a tremendous day for one Randy Peterson and a great first match, Norm, to watch. And there is Randy 20 years ago. How about it?
Look at the hair.
Man, I was so good looking back then. What happened?
Take us through your memories of this event, Randy.
Well, this is a match against Marshall Holman before the title match, and I actually had the first 9 in a row, and here I am stepping up in the 10th frame. This is the first ball in the 10th. Remember, back then it was a $100,000 bonus for a 300 game, so now I've got the front 10, and here's the 11th shot. You notice the real soft back-end reaction. I needed reactive resin back then. That was just plain urethane.
And a young Amleto Monticelli awaited you in the next match, going for his first ever championship in the title match, and you topped your buddy, didn't you?
Well, you know, Amleto looked like he was about 13 back then, but he was a He was bowling great back then. I knew I had to give it everything I had just to get past him. But 4 Hall of Famers on that show and me.
Randy's won major championship back to '87. Good to review that. Here at the Denny's World Championship Grand Rapids, so far Doug Kent has knocked off Danny Wiseman, Chris Barnes, and Tony Reyes next. The PBA Motel Roll to 6 and Roll to Riches. Motel 6 Roll to Riches. Let's try that just around the corner. Once again, the PBA giving you, the fan, an opportunity to decide who will get the last of 6 spots in this unique event. Head to PBA.com today. Cast your vote from a select group of PBA All-Stars. Voting concludes Saturday, March 31st, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Do not miss your chance to vote. Last 2 years, who's been voted in?
I am.
Norm Duke has. It gives us a chance to talk about Player of the Year. There's so many candidates, Randy, who could be the top player, including this guy, Norm Duke. He's the only one on tour who's won 3 times.
Yeah, it's real muddy right now. And if Chris Barnes were to win today, then it really gets confusing. But right now, I'm looking at Norm Duke, Wes Malott, and Pete Weber. You know, Pete should have won it back in '87. It's the one thing that he hasn't won in his entire career. And what a brilliant career it's been. And back then, I think Pete got cheated because it was more of a popularity contest. Pete should have won. Marshall Holman won it without even winning a title.
Pete did win the 64th U.S. Open, his 8th major and best 4th ever U.S. Open title. So Pete Weber has to be a candidate. A lot depends on how he does next week at the Tournament of Champions in Connecticut.
Yeah, you know, Pete Weber wants to win Player of the Year just about as bad as anything he's ever won. And Wes Malott also having a great year. The problem, Wes has only got 1 title. He is going to have to win next week, in my opinion, to have a shot at this. But we still have 3 bowlers in our tournament today, all with a chance to add their names to the list of Weber, Malott, and Duke.
Speaking of list, Randy, first time in Wes Malott's career, he has won the points title. Then there's our Norm Duke, who has 3 shows and 3 titles. However, 7 weeks out with a toe injury. That's a big factor.
Well, you know, it is, but you can't take the fact that Norm won 3 titles in his little events that he has bowled. And Norm, what do you think your chances are, and what has to happen next week in order for you to win Player of the Year again?
Well, I think I have a great chance, but, you know, the proof is in the pudding, and this tour is backloaded with 2 majors on the end, and I think we need to let the dust settle before we start giving the championship away. And who's going to win the next week? Who's going to win today? That's what's going to determine Player of the Year.
So others have done so well here to really muddy the waters. Now, Tony Reyes with a win. He's got the 300 game. He's got his first title. He could be in there. Doug Kent would have 2 majors. Jason Couch, Patrick Allen, 2 titles each in the second half of the year. And, oh, by the way, Chris Barnes second on the points list.
Yeah, it's as tight a race as I can remember. And like you said, a lot of things can go down, not only from today, but from next week as well.
We shall see what happens. This year's Player of the Year trying to succeed Tommy Jones, who won a season ago. Coming up, second semifinal. Chris Barnes loves the big money events on the big stage. He's on it again in front of a packed house against Tony Reyes. He won his title earlier this year in the state of Michigan. Oh, yeah, love those sunglasses. That's quite a look. Denny's World Championship here in Grand Rapids. Doug Kent has knocked off Danny Wiseman, 235-219. He's in the final. He'll take on the winner of the next semifinal. That is Chris Barnes and Tony Reyes. Well, the cut line now complete. 39. Patrick Healy Jr., that was the cut number. And several of the top bowlers in the Denny's PBA Tour are on the outside looking in. They are not exempt for next year. There's the option of the Tour Trials to try to earn back their exemption. Most probably will not go that route. There you see John Mayo made the show a couple weeks back in the Dallas area. Rick Steelsmith, several times PBA champion, and the Hall of Famer Norman, your good buddy Brian Voss on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah, right now Dino Castillo has already got an exemption, so he doesn't count. Brian Voss is first out.
BV, 24 titles, a Hall of Famer, more than $2.5 million in earnings. He will not be on the tour next year. He told us about his reaction.
It's been a real tough year. You know, I started off the year with injuries in my hip, my shoulders. Tournament, you know, and expressed, you know, feelings, emotional feelings. But for me, I'm ready for it. I've been expecting this day sometime.
Great career, certainly, guys, for Brian Voss. He won the '88 PBA National Championship, this event in Toledo. Player of the Year in '98, Harry Smith Point Leader Award '87-'88 in the Hall of Fame, Randy. inductee in 1994.
Yeah, he was a great competitor for a long time out here, and it's just it just seems awkward that somebody like a Brian Voss isn't going to be around anymore.
Now we're set for Reyes Barnes. Second semifinal. The winner takes on Doug Kent for the title. Tony starts off with a strike. Coming to us from San Bruno, California, not far
right here.
from San Francisco. He says just a few miles from SFO, San Francisco's airport, as he takes on Chris Barnes.
Live and die with the big wheel.
Back-to-back shows, Tony Reyes. Chris from the Metroplex, Double Oak, Texas, near Dallas. He and wife Linda just moved into their new house this week. Finally.
Well, it takes a long time to build a mansion, so, you know.
Linda and their twin boys are home watching in Dallas today. 10-pin for Chris.
Yeah, that right lane, we've seen a lot of balls arrive with that black 10, Randy. It's just not driving on the right lane like it has been on the left.
Yeah, and when you think about Chris Barnes, who is one of the few players that still uses 16 pounds out here, real high rev rate guy, you never think of him in week 10 in the same sentence.
Chris has won back-to-back. Motel 6 rule the Riches as well. He tries to get in. The victory today could clinch that, Norm, as you look at the Ace Hardware matchup. Tony Reyes tries for his first ever major today.
Yeah, you know, good luck to Tony Reyes in his quest. He's looking for title number 2, but major number 1, and everything on this tour is about steps. He continues to climb steps. So, you know, he's won his first title. Now he's pulled his first 300 game on television. Now he's looking for a major, but he's got to beat Chris Barnes. And as we see from that shot, that's not an easy task.
Not at all, Randy's got that look on the left lane. How about strategy between the two matches, Randy, in that right lane? How are the bowlers approaching it here?
Well, Chris is going to play both lanes much straighter than Tony Reyes is. Tony said after his first shot, he's going to live and die by the big wheel, meaning the big hook ball. The thing about these two bowlers right now is that I've never seen two guys that are this confident and have been this confident for this long a period of time. These guys, it doesn't matter. I mean, they don't. You talk to Tony Reyes in interviews, extremely confident. You talk to Chris Barnes, his mindset right now is as good as it's ever been. And these two are going to go head-to-head.
Yeah, and this is Tony Reyes just bending that ball back on the right lane. He did this all week long, reminiscent of Robert Smith. He'll be back with us next week, won't he?
Yeah, Robert will be back out next week for the Tournament of Champions.
Looks like sidelined by an injury this year.
And it looks like Tony's hooking it a little bit more on the right lane than he is on this lane here.
Right, I think that's a byproduct of just being more friction on that right lane.
Left lane still looking quite a bit there, and great ball reaction.
Baby.
And all 10 down for Tony Reyes.
Right on, man, right on.
And Tony said when he saw that light hit, that was a good thing because all he has to do now is just get his speed softer.
Take advantage of that.
Watch this great pin action. This guy here, Norm, you talked with him, Dave, you spoke with him. He's really matured in the last year or so.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference in Tony. He hasn't gotten a lot of physical changes, but his mental game is great.
Barnes has a 2-pin. Chris very mentally strong as well. He told us yesterday some of his early TV struggles. We've talked about that throughout his career. Or he didn't win a lot earlier in his career. Had to do with the fact that he looked at big picture. He was looking at, well, the multi-season exemption, the $50,000, the arena setting, instead of Randy just shot by shot.
Yeah, he overthought it. You know, there was just too much going on, and Chris needs to rely more on his physical ability and just let the mental happen. You start overthinking it, and it gets in the way of your physical attributes. They just doesn't work. And Chris has come to realize that, and he tells us all the time, I'm just trying to stay out of my own way.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get scatterbrained or fuzzy in the head by all of the surroundings. So he's trying to limit his focus to that 15 feet. This is the ball. This is the target. There's the pins. Get it over the target.
All 10 down for Chris Barnes. We talked about 7 top 8 finishes. He's second on the tour in points behind Wes Bellotto. Won the points title this year. More than $100,000 in earnings for Chris Barnes. Been a very solid season. With a win today, no question he's in the mix for Player of the Year.
And a lot of folks out here on this tour that bowl for a living, they feel that that guy is probably the best out here.
Chris Barnes.
Yeah, physically.
He is great.
(2001) and an 04-05. The prior 2 times, Tony has had back-to-back shows. Does it again here. Looks for the late hit on number 7. Won't get it.
Now here's a real good example of a bowling ball behaving properly. You see, he gets it out to that same spot that Doug Kent was getting it out to, only Doug Kent was light. Doug's going light. Tony's getting it back to the pocket.
Increases his percentage on the single pin numbers after the great start in this match. He said after making the show that he was feeling hot. One of the best bowlers on tour right now, very confident, as Randy talked about. Michigan, Tony told us, very good to him with his 1 tour victory coming in Taylor, suburban Detroit earlier this year. He feels confident that every time out, he can win.
Exactly. When you feel like you can win any event that you enter, the confidence then exudes, and all the players know it. They can see it. They can see it in your mannerisms, your behavior, your attitude.
And all of a sudden, you become a factor.
Pick up. Almost had the 7-10 to deal with. Instead, just a 10-pin for the former San Jose State Spartan, collegiate star, 3-time All-American.
Hey, guys, and just a quick update. We talked a little bit about the nightmare that Tony's been having with his SUV, the one that he paid $45,000 cash for. Well, Tony said now he's either going to get a brand new one or a full refund. Get him, Tony.
He's had a lot of trouble with that vehicle.
Man,
help. There's the 10-pin. It's currently his truck in Washington, Pennsylvania, just south of Pittsburgh, at a repair shop. He's driving a rental right now. Not sure when he's going to get his truck back or the refund that he has talked about.
Guys, we're going to talk Triple Crown story, and I'll show you all we got.
Chris Barnes goes for some serious history today. Coveted Triple Crown. Norm talked about it. Top of the broadcast. All 10 down for Chris. Only 4 others, Norm, have done it in Denny's PBA Tour history.
Yeah, and if you look at the list, you know, you have Billy Hardwick, as you see here, Johnny Petraglia, Mike Albee, and Pete Weber. You just don't win a Triple Crown on the PBA Tour without being a superstar, and one that's able to spare, play multiple angles, handle themselves under pressure, perform on television, win $200,000 big checks every year at the end of the year. I think Chris Barnes, out of all the players out here, he and Pete Weber are 2 that really are standouts when it comes to Triple Crown, Grand Slams, things like that.
Chris has emerged, no question. Left lane, down 8 pins. Comes in high, kicks out the 10, has the 6-pin to deal with.
See, and to me, that was a big shot because he finally got his first hit on the right lane. Looking for his first 3-bagger. He's on the left lane that he hasn't missed on yet, and this is left of target out of his hand. The good news, he broke up the split, and he leaves himself with an easy single-pin spare. He could have taken the lead, though, with that hit.
Yeah, that might have been the first shot of the week for him. I've been watching. He hasn't made very many bad shots all week.
This just the second ever head-to-head matchup on TV between Barnes and Reyes. Tony won the first with a 245 game. Can he win the second and propel himself to the championship match of our World Championship? Doug Kent awaits the winner in the final. It's the second semifinal here from Grand Rapids, Michigan at the DeVos Place. A packed house arena setting, watching the third of 4 majors. Tony Reyes from near San Fran looking for the finals. Great live entertainment from We Are the Fury and West Records. From East West Records, We Are the Fury here in Grand Rapids. Sound pretty good. Like it. The Denny's World Championship, our third major.
Hey, Dave, I used to be in that band. I was the cowbell guy. They decided not to do any more Blue Oyster Cult songs. I was the guy banging that cowbell. We need more cowbell. But when they did away with the Blue Oyster Cult stuff, I was out of a job.
So was the cowbell.
I'm sorry, guys. I just had to go there.
That's awesome. Hey, on the cross, we're going to look at the Etonic edge on Tony's swing. Etonic edge on the cross.
Sixth frame. Here's Reyes. Up by 9. Works on a spare. Semi-final. Winner takes on Doug Kent. Nice tap on number 10. Leading us, Randy, to the Etonic edge.
Well, Tony Reyes can do a lot of things. And remember, last week he made the show going really straight, Norm. And what I really like about Tony, besides the fact that mentally he's in a great place, is when you watch him play different lines, his swing follows exactly what his body's trying to do. For example, if he's trying to go straighter, his swing doesn't tuck behind him as much on the way down. When he's playing the big loop or the big wheel, that rainbow shot, watch how much that swing starts to tuck around him. I think it's a great loose gravity swing. And he's a great, versatile player with a lot of confidence.
He's very far left here on the left lane, leaves a 10-pin.
Yeah, and because his swing always matches his intended target line, when he's playing inside, his ball always gets to the right, which is what is needed. When he's playing the outside line, his ball always starts up toward the pocket, which is what is needed. Therefore, Tony just needs to stay, like you said, in that great place.
Tony's one title came this year. Detroit area we told you about. Whenever Parker Bone III, 300 game, there's the 10-pin. And then over the top seed West Milan in the finals, 255, 238. He wants this, Randy, so badly.
Yeah, he really does. And also to add one other factor to his game, for a big man, he really uses his legs very well. You notice his core stays very quiet throughout the whole swing. Speaking of a guy that throws it really good, there he is.
Barnes, 7th frame. 60 feet to success. And a big one for Chris Barnes.
Boy, he gets this ball to the right, gets full turn on it. It recovers. Sets himself up for a chance to get a double. Put him right in this match. Right now, Barnes -9 with the hammer.
Perfect shot on the left lane.
Yeah, doing a little Texas two-step on the way right after that ball was thrown. He was running it out.
Chris moved 3 boards left before that shot there. His last shot went high. 3 boards left in. High flush.
Tony Reyes talks to us about winning a major and a 300. What's the difference and what's so great about it, Tony?
Shooting at 300 as a kid, it's on TV is always everyone dreams about, but everyone dreams about winning titles, and winning a major is one of the biggest accomplishments any bowler could ever have. So winning a major for sure.
I agree. 300 game on television is nice. Gets you a lot of publicity. Majors, part of history.
Majors put you in the Hall of Fame, don't they, Norm?
Yes, they will.
2-pin there, not in the pocket the way Tony wanted it. And Randy, that's an interesting point that Tony made to us yesterday about his career. He'd hoped to have in the 10-11 title category by now, but injuries, some various breaks maybe didn't go his way, didn't have the success he had hoped for when he first started.
It's taken him a little bit longer than he would have liked, but you know what? Sometimes that happens. You got to be patient and stay with it. Keep that belief in your own ability. And right now, he needs to come up with a big shot here in the 9th frame so that he can.
10th. Come on.
So that he can give himself a shot at 237. Chris Barnes right now in the 2 teens, but with a double, Chris Barnes can bowl 249.
Yeah, and the challenge for Tony Reyes right now is the last 5 shots that he's thrown down the lane. He got 1 love tap on the 10. He's left taps each of the other 4. That's 5 in a row that arrived there a little weak. He's going to have to get his ball stronger into the pins on this shot.
Come on, carry. Yes.
It will, Tony.
Come on.
Big strike foundation frame for Tony Reyes, and as he said, he wants to make Chris Barnes show up.
Come on, carry. Yes.
Very interested spectator right there that will take on the winner of this match. Doug Kent has a good idea of how he wants to play the lanes, but you know what? Based on the outcome of this match, that may change.
Barnes looks for the turkey. Ninth frame.
Everybody, I love you guys.
And go up 12. Which he does.
Well, he found a home on that right lane, Norm. What happened? What changes did he make?
Well, I think he was watching Danny Wiseman with a little duller surface ball in the match before his, and he just went in and parked out just left of that dull surface ball. He's getting recovery. Yeah! I think he doesn't like that. He knows the situation right here. A strike, 9 spare shuts it out. If he doesn't strike from this ball, Tony Reyes will have a chance to step up in the 10th and take this from Chris Barnes.
He has used both re-racks in this game, and on this lane has done well. 3 or 4 strikes.
Let's watch it.
Bird's eye view right next to Doug Kent. He'll take on the winner. Doug can watch. Tony cannot.
Help.
Like it. Whoa! He got help, Randy.
Holy cow.
Wow. Oh, no help. High flush. Well, obviously he made the right adjustment on this lane.
Help.
Oh, sweet gift right there, sweet gift.
9 spare. He's a winner. Anything less, Tony Reyes still has a chance.
Yeah, the beauty is here for Chris Barnes is he just missed a loaf left, a lot left, and the ball held pocket. So if he needs 9 or more, just keep it inside.
That's better.
He liked it. Yeah. He's got a strike. And a win.
A little taster there, huh, Mika?
Doug Kent will take on Chris Barnes. That was a shout out to Mika Kwebuniemi. Major Mika's won some major titles as well, and the 2 are roommates, he and Chris Barnes.
Oh, thank you.
It's a high shot, but it doesn't matter.
Did a good move.
Boy, that's a tough one for Tony Reyes to sit there and listen to when a guy goes, oh no, and then high flush to beat you. Bless his heart, but he'll be back. He will be back. He still believes. He knows he played a great game, and he just railed that pocket every time.
And he's got a spot in the next week's Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, for the first time.
First time in his career.
Yes.
After his win in Taylor, Michigan this year, a spot in the TOC next weekend to wrap up the season. Another major. Barnes, Kent will go head-to-head. Another great week for Tony Reyes, back-to-back shows, but he comes up short. Chris Barnes will try to become the 5th bowler in history to get the Triple Crown. It says hi to his twin sons, Ryan and Troy, back home in Dallas. Look, hold on.
All right.
246, 226. Barnes through to the final. That high flush strike helped clinch it. Kent goes for his 2nd major when we return. It's the Denny's PBA World Championship from DeVos Place, downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. Doug Kent will take on Chris Barnes for the title as Chris Barnes goes for the Triple Crown. Dave, Randy, Norm, our entire crew bringing you the third of 4 majors in the 06-07 season. Each week we'll give you an inside look at some of Walter Ray Williams' greatest victories. Let's join Walter Ray now from his RV as we go on the road to number 1, brought to you by Go RVing.
In 1993, I think I had what I consider my best season on the PBA Tour. Out of 33 tournaments, I had 16 top 5 finishes, 15 of them were on TV. I had 7 wins. It took a while to get the season underway. I was making a lot of TV finals, just not winning too many tournaments. Then later this spring and the summer, I managed to start winning some more tournaments, and I had a great stretch there where I won in Grand Rapids. Later on in the season, I had a chance to win my 8th title. Unfortunately, Norm Duke stopped me with a 240 game and came up a little short in that end, but set a record for the most games bowled in the season with 1,300 and 222 average for back then. So I was definitely satisfied with that season.
Travel with Walter Ray Williams Jr. in his RV on the road to number 1. Visit GoRVing.com to plan your trip. And on the road, the Denny's PBA Tour, just one event to go. We'll be at the TOC, First Bradley Bowl in Mohegan Sun. And then we'll have the Windsor Locks event as well for you. For more, log on to PBA.com for all the times for the Pro-Ams. We're joined now by Margaret Jenkins, the Chief Marketing Officer for Denny's. Margaret, how would you best describe your involvement with the Denny's PBA Tour?
Well, it's been a wonderful 2 years. As you know, Dave, this is our 2nd year of a 3-year commitment, and it just couldn't be more exciting. Just evidenced by today's activities. I mean, you've got 4 of the best, and it's been just a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.
So you've been around bowling quite a bit, Margaret. Let's put you on the spot. Who do you think is going to win the championship match here, Chris Barnes or Doug Kent?
You know, that is really tough to say. They both had such high scores coming into this final match. I'm not going to pick a winner. I'm just going to say congratulations to both of them.
Going to stay neutral.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks again for coming out. Great to see you.
Thank you, Dave.
There's Margaret Jenkins from Denny's. Denny's World Championship. Doug Kent, Chris Barnes. It's the final coming up from Grand Rapids. Who takes home the title and makes history? Who puts himself right in the mix for Player of the Year? We find out next. As we talked about, prior to 2002, this event was known as the PBA National Championship, and Earl Anthony dominated this tournament in the 70s and 80s. He won 6 times. We are set for Doug Kent and Chris Barnes in the final. Randy, how do we get here? Geico Championship recap time.
Okay, Dave. Semifinal number 1, Doug Kent defeated Danny Wiseman by the score of 235 to 219. Doug looks for his 2nd major of the season. And in semifinal number 2, Chris Barnes defeated Tony Reyes by the score of 246 to 226. Barnes looks for bowling's Triple Crown.
That is the Geico Championship recap. So Earl Anthony won this event 6 times. Walter Ray Williams Jr. next with 3 titles. Pete Weber, who is in the mix for Player of the Year, along with our Norm Duke and many others, along with 5 other bowlers, won this event twice in their careers.
And we can tie that into why he threw that one shot in the held pocket.
Doug's wife, Chrissy, watches. Barnes will start. Perfect shot, Norm, on the left lane.
Yeah, that was a great start for Chris. You know, he really missed left in the 10th frame last game. Needed a good shot on this lane just to make sure that it would work right.
Back to Doug Kent. He and his wife Chrissy own 2 bowling centers, upstate New York. Newark, New York, and Canandaigua. Big hook. Look at that, Doug Kent. Just the way he left things off when he beat Danny Wiseman in the first match. That leads us, Randy, to the Ace Hardware matchup. Kent Barnes head-to-head with all of the money and the exemption on the line.
A lot on the line, not only for today, but for the season. 2 guys playing 2 completely different parts of the lane. Lanes will be changing throughout this match. Stay on top of it, make the right adjustments, make the key shots when you have to, and go home with a major.
4-season exemption, $50,000 to the winner. Left lane, Doug Kent. It pushes all right, Doug.
Yeah, Doug Kent just made another Mother May I move left more. Now the big problem is he's got to get the ball to push and to retain all that energy for about 45 feet. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, make that left turn into the pins, Randy. Easier said than done. Now, Chris Barnes decides, I'm going to play that track in the middle part of the lane, not so far on the back end. They're both playing the same part of the lane for their hook, but just in different distances.
Barnes comes in high and has a split. 4-10.
Well, Chris Barnes bowled a pretty good game last game. Now, this is a ball change and playing a completely different part of the lane.
Very nice.
So apparently he saw something during warm-ups before this title match that he didn't like, or the lane's changed enough that forced him to do a little bit more of what Doug Kent's doing.
Split numbers, there you see them. 20% to date. Didn't even watch it. Leaves the 10-pin open frame. Chris making his 10th all-time arena appearance. Wow. He's tied for 3rd all-time. The leader, of course, Walter Ray Williams Jr. has 18. Parker Bone III, 13. Norm, you've been on arena shows 10 times in your great career. After the shot, I'd like your take on the difference between the big stage here and a regular bowling center. Here's Barnes.
Now that ball behaved just like he wanted it to. On the right lane, it hooked early. I don't think it was much a bad shot on that right lane as it was just the ball hooked early. Now, the difference in an arena and in a regular setting is, for the most part, it's different. It's bigger. There's more echo. There's more things going on. There's more lights. And normally, there's a lot more money at stake. So it's another one of those stepping stones. You just have to be comfortable with it and then step up.
And a big shot, Doug Kent. He's comfortable all right with it. You saw that victory for Doug head-to-head with Chris Barnes back in '02, won by 53 pins at the Empire State Open.
Release down lane, coming back this way.
That's beautiful, playing the slow wheel.
We talked about versatility, and Doug Kent is just phenomenal at manipulating release. And, you know, obviously when you get in, you're going this from left to right as much as he is, you have to have side rotation. Look at him flip his hand around the side of it. That's what gets the ball to rotate sideways. It's kind of like a car coming off the edge of a sheet of ice with the wheel turned. Well, it's not going to go anywhere until it hits friction. And then once it does, it's going sideways.
On each lane he is in. He's left and really using a big hook against Chris Barnes. He's got a huge lead. Going for his 2nd major this season, Doug Kent. There's Mike Eaton, proprietor at Spectrum Lanes, Wyoming, Michigan. That's in suburban Grand Rapids, where all the competition was held until the TV show, so all the way through the round of 8. Good to see Mike again. Last year, Patrick Allen won a title in Grand Rapids at Spectrum Lanes. He's won 3 titles in Michigan. Now, we talked about it, guys. History will be made today in some form. Either Chris Barnes becomes the 5th ever to win the Triple Crown, or perhaps it's going to be a double major. 2 majors in a single season for Doug Kent. First time since '02-03 Norman. Walter Ray Williams Jr. turned the trick.
Boy, you think it's not hard to win a major, much less 2 in 1 year? Good luck.
You see some of the names on that list, like Mike Lemongello, and you're right, it is, not only is it tough to win 1 major, but forget it, 2 majors. Doug Kent's got a shot at that today.
Barnes has dug himself a huge hole. Can he get out, as he's done before? That's the question. Right lane, 10-pin.
Yeah, and you know, that's kind of what happens every once in a while when the ball goes high. The next shot, you get up there, you make a little adjustment, and now the ball doesn't hit, and you're leaving the ring in 10.
Nice. Now, what makes Chris Barnes so good, in my opinion, is the left arm. Notice that it's out in front, but check out the hand that's turned open. What that does is it keeps the left shoulder forward through the whole swing. And when he pulls a shot, he gets away with it because if he's lined up properly, that left arm staying out in front helps project the ball to the right. So when he pulls it, it's a little bit left of target, but it's still going left to right.
Always has been a thing of beauty to watch him bowl. Technically, just so sound.
And that ring 10 there in the 4th frame is the one he really wanted because he made the adjustment, made a good shot, and was looking for a double, and left a ring in 10.
High flush strike. Chris Barnes, 43rd TV appearance since 2000. How about that? Tied with Walter Williams Jr., who has 43 in that time span. And Arnorm Duke, 33 times on TV in the last 7+ years. Not bad.
Well, thank you.
Including last week's win in Indianapolis.
Does that include the commentary?
Well, no.
Unfortunately not.
If that was the case, Norm,
you'd be the all-time leader, Randy.
Yeah, I've got like, how many shows do I have this year? Like 19? 20?
Good right lane. There's the first non-strike.
And that was a chance for Doug Kent to pull up 52 pins on Chris Barnes in 5 frames. Not an easy task there, but he'll take this 9 spare. Try to get back on the strikes on the left lane. Get that hammer back.
Cross lane here and take care of the 10 pin. It's difficult to get any more left than he is, especially on that right lane.
No, if he does get farther left than he is right now, then you're going to see a lot more loft. Now, these guys can, and they do often get a lot farther left, but they start lofting the ball, and the more left they move, the more they have to loft it to hit lane, the more they have to curve it. It just gets really good at that point, doesn't it, Randy?
It does. Doug is one of the best at it. Another guy, Robert Smith, can throw it about halfway down the lane and still hit the pocket. A lot of fun to watch.
Left lane. Perfect shot, Doug Kent. We saw a great look from our crew from up above as wife Chrissy watches how far left he is on that lane, too.
Yeah, and you know what? In my opinion, I think Doug's at an advantage because he gets the finish on the left lane, and to me, his ball reaction looks like it's better on that lane.
There's no doubt about it. He's been carrying more on that lane and 2-pinning occasionally on the right lane with the hang.
Doug has struck 5 of 6 frames. Barnes looks for the double here, 6th frame. Cut the deficit to 31. He needs it. Right lane. Big strike.
And Barnes goes back to the ball he used in his first match. Barnes says it isn't over yet, but you have to question the adjustment that he made to start this match. Why would he go away from what worked? Why, Norm, do you go away from something that worked that you struck with? Don't you stay with it until it doesn't strike anymore and then make the adjustment?
Of course, but Chris Barnes sat there for 4 minutes during a commercial break, went high, 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 high. It did quit working, so he made the adjustment at the front of the game. Now he finds himself having to go back. It's just a confusing time in transition. Looks like he's righted the ship. He's got a double.
Looks for the turkey.
How about
Almost past 710. Instead has a strike and pulls to within 21 pins.
And in no way, shape, or form do I want this to be misconstrued as me second-guessing Chris Barnes. But you have to question the change of bowling balls. And right there, Chris Barnes just gets the biggest break of this entire tournament.
He's alive and well, thank you. Kent works on a strike, 7th frame. To go back up, 31 pins. On the right lane. Big hook. Won't get help on the 10.
That's why I think the left lane's better for Doug Kent. The last 2 shots on that lane, week 10, he's playing the big arc. The ball looks like it pushes or goes down the lane just a little bit farther on the right lane than it does on the left. Norm, what adjustment does Doug make on the right lane? He only has 1 more shot there to get a strike.
Well, you know, I don't think he can just soften up and give the ball time to roll up to flush. He'd have to hit flush if he did. The only adjustment I see him making is moving another board to the left and cracking it harder. Try to get it to be more angular at the back end so he can snap that 10. Any kind of drop in ball speed at this point, I think the ball will just tire out and hook out.
Wife Chrissy cheers him on. We saw little Natalie Jane. Doug also has a teenage son Jacob back home watching, a good high school bowler, upstate New York. Eight titles, 8 different seasons. Goes for his 3rd major. In fact, won the first World Championship, as it's known, for the PBA National. Randy won one of those.
He also has a Masters that the PBA doesn't count as a major or a title, for that matter.
Eighth frame. Oh, 10 pin again.
Another.
Yeah, he threw that one pretty good.
This shot's perfect off his hand. He knows it.
Agony.
That's like a gut shot, man. That's a gut shot. It's like getting punched right in the stomach when you're not looking, knocks the wind out of you. He knows that that was a big hit.
And Barnes knows he's right in the match.
I'll tell you what, guys, now, if both guys strike out from here,
it's a tie.
It is a tie, 248, 248.
And Doug Kent knew that when he got up there on that left lane. He says, anything less than a strike, I'm either a loser or can be loser or with the tie. You have to stay ahead of your opponent no matter what, should you both strike out.
Well, he's still ahead, and the onus is still on Chris Barnes to catch him. And we'll see what happens now with this ball change that he made, going back to what he used originally on this right lane.
Randy Boxler didn't like it. Trying for a 4-bagger. What happened there, Randy?
Well, I think it's just a case of a little overthinking again. And you know, we haven't seen Chris do a whole lot of that this year on television. In fact, that may be the first balk that I can remember. But I think that that happens a lot of times when Chris just gets to thinking just a bit more than he needs to. Just get up there, look at your target, man, let it fly.
Worth it. Which he does perfectly.
Yeah, and that might be the difference in the Chris Barnes now and the Chris Barnes before, is the ability to stop in midstream and then come back, collect yourself, and get up there and throw the shot that you're looking for. In past, it might have been that he just stood up there, was a little scattered in the mind, and left a 4-pin or a 10-pin or something.
Yeah, his mental makeup now, it's different. You can see it. And the results are different.
His first ever title came in this arena setting, 99, Erie, Pennsylvania.
And this strike would bring everything to all square.
Wow. Looks for 5 straight.
Yeah. Randy, he got that ball down in the lane early. He could almost hear the ball.
So, Norm, you think he speared that one into the lane just a little bit more than he wanted to?
I do. I think he got it down just a little earlier, and the ball didn't hold that that spiral.
Perfect single pin pickups. Will remain that way with a 4-pin there. Has the spare, but could have tied the match up with a strike.
Well, in order for Doug Kent to shut out Chris Barnes, he's going to need either a double, 9th and 10th frame, or a mark in the 9th and a double in the 10th.
Guys, with the lanes next week, coverage of the Denny's PBA Tour continues. Tournament of Champions, 1 o'clock Eastern time from the Mohegan Sun, Uncasville, Connecticut, in the Hartford area. Different start time than we had here today. 1 Eastern next week, final event of our season. It's a major as well. Norm will be there competing. Field of 32.
Oh, no.
Wide.
Well, we've heard 2 oh-no's for strikes today. Chris Barnes, the last catch, and now Doug Kent.
Doing better than that right there.
Yeah, you heard him say on the shot prior to this that he pured it. This one, no, he didn't pure it.
Well, how does he get back from there then?
Well, that's where they started playing when they first started this telecast. And now, I guess, unbeknownst to the players, they can get it out there and get full recovery.
And with a first strike here in the 10th frame, Doug Kent will win his 2nd major of the season.
it.
He's got it! Doug Kent wins his second major of the year. $50,000.
Let it go. All you gotta do is let it go.
And a 4-season exemption.
Let it go.
It was Chris Barnes, a great shot.
All you gotta do is let it go.
And he's still going to play this big hook. You know, I'd be throwing it right at the head pin at this time, not trusting myself to miss one and leak it. But he's Doug Kent. That's what he does.
All right.
He's wrapped it up.
And talk about a muddy picture for Player of the Year. You're going to have to throw Doug Kent's name into that hat.
Yes.
Doug Kent has done it with wife Chrissy watching and her mother. Chrissy lost her father to cancer earlier this season.
Yeah, and he just trumped a whole lot of players.
Dedicating that to her father, Roger.
Dry the tears. We're good.
He just trumped a lot of players for Player of the Year right there with 2 majors in one season. That's going to be hard to beat. A lot of guys are going to be looking to win next week, maybe to catch him.
Whew. As good as it gets right here.
For the first time in his career, Doug Kent wins 2 titles in a season. Which 2? Majors.
Right there. You see that right
USBC Masters and the Denny's World Championship. Without question, a viable candidate for Player of the Year. Doug Kent, Newark, New York, bringing the title home to upstate NY. What a time of celebration for the Kent family. Little daughter Natalie, Doug's wife Chrissy, and Doug Kent. 2 major championships in one season. First time ever won 2 titles in 1 year. In the big stage, how are you able to step up and come through?
You know, Dave, I changed my timing earlier in the year, and this was a pattern that I had to go back to what I used to do best. And you know, I recognized it early in the week, and you know, I just tried to get into a good rhythm, and I did, and I got into a great frame of mind again like I did earlier in the year, and I just started repeating a lot better, and things started falling.
3 shows, 2 titles, 2 majors. How do you evaluate your chances for Player of the Year?
It's got to be up there. I don't know. You know, you don't think about that, you know, going all through the year, but when something like this happens and you're in the race, you start thinking about that. But you know, you just try not to think too far ahead. But I think I'm definitely in a race, and that would be a great honor.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Doug Kent wins a major championship today here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Don't forget, next week, Doug and the rest of the bowlers, 32 Bowler Field Tournament of Champions, Uncasville, Connecticut. Note the special start time, 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you then from just outside Hartford. Doug Kent wins his 2nd title of the season and takes his 2nd major, and you have to put him right in the middle of the mix for Player of the Year honors. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now for the entire crew, Norm Duke, Randy Peterson, it's Dave Ryan saying so long from Grand Rapids. Coming up next, World Cup of Trick Shots here on ESPN. Congratulations to Doug Kent.